Hi guys, I'm James McIntosh and today I'm joined with Football Operations Manager Mark Summerhill, catching up on all things Gosport yet again. And Mark, I think it's good we catch up on Friday. So we did play AFC Tottenham, and to many fans' surprises, we did have a large power cut. It was across the whole of Portsmouth, and I think many people into the game, they would have expected one of the 22 players on the pitch to get a real man in the match performance. But I think where credit is due, I think we need to give them a lot of credit to the people off the pitch, the stewards, and the people who work behind the scenes, delivering a really safe outage and just making sure no one got injured. And I think it's something we should really look upon successfully in a bad scenario.
Yeah, I think obviously for AFC Tottenham and the paying football fan to have a game abandoned at half time is never going to be a good news story. However, I thought that and it's an amazing amount of work by people. I thought we put on an absolutely top remembrance service before the game with lots of military representation, and I thought we did. I thought we certainly did Gosport and the local area proud with our remembrance bit before, and I think our club president Jeremy Fox put a lot of time and effort into organising that. So I think massive thanks goes out to Jeremy and all the people involved in that. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. A lot of really good feedback about that, a lot of moving feedback about our tribute and the respect we paid for that. And then obviously, the game started. We get 40 minutes in, we're 2-0 down. And then a power cut, like you just said there, not limited just to Gosport, but the whole Portsmouth area, which was actually sort of quite bizarre because if you look behind the goal, you could see to the left of the ground still had power, and the right of the ground didn't have power. And obviously we were part of that. But I think the way we managed 1,700 people who we had in the ground, how we managed them safely with no injuries is a credit to the stewards, and a credit to the club. But we managed that so successfully because obviously on a cold November dark night when the power goes out, I think we managed that incredibly well.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I think, like, as you were saying, it did go really well. That's my second blackout now I've done. I had it at AFC Portchester, so I must just be an unlucky guy. But if you were looking at the first half in that game as well against AFC Tottenham, if I'm being honest, we just didn't look on it. I mean, Charlie Austin, Tony Lee, and their front three, they were just looking incredible in their attacking unit, and they were forming this real attacking unit. And I found it like as though they were getting past our defence pretty easily, and at times they were just caught napping. And if you contrast that to the pool performance, where I thought we were in control for most of the game, came out 3-1 winners. And why do you think it was such a different performance?
Yeah, I mean, very, very difficult to say why it's such a different performance. Like I've said before, footballers are human beings. It's not an exact science. If if it was an exact science, you could just put names on paper and they were all going to play to the best of their ability every week. Football would be an easy game, wouldn't it? But you're dealing with human beings that make mistakes. And in all fairness to AFC Tottenham, the way they set out and the way they set about us with their aggressiveness and their approach to the game, their physicality, and they started from kick one, and they maintained that for, I think, for the 44 minutes that we played, and we didn't match it. Whether we were caught in headlights a little bit, whether we were just a little bit rattled, whether we were a little bit surprised. Not going to make excuses, but AFC Tottenham started the game and dominated the game. Dominated that half. I think we would have done well to get in at half time 2-0 down, and then we could have had a little bit of a regroup and a reshape for sure. And then I think probably the next goal is going to be pivotal there, because either we get back in it at 2-1 and it becomes one hell of a game, or they scored a third and probably run away with it. So we were just at that sort of point really where either of those two things was probably possible. But yeah, all credit to Tottenham, the way they started, the way they set up. I think, trying to think of a better phrase, they did a proper job on us.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like we were talking about in my last point there, if you juxtapose that to the ball performance, I thought that was probably one of the better games I've seen under Gosport in a long time, just considering the external factors going into that game. So we had suspensions going into that. We had just lost Ryan Gosney, our main goalkeeper, and we became a little bit reliant on a few key players. So they started playing a lot of games, so they were struggling with fitness. And we also brought in a lot of under 18s as well, which I think we need to consider as well. So he brought in 3, and they deserve huge credit. And I would imagine from you, Pat, Joe, that was a really pleasing performance.
Oh yeah, we were, it's highs and lows of football, wasn't it? We were really pleased at Paul. Yeah, we'd lost Goz, we'd lost Alec, had the bad news about Alec Barser being injured, and the squad's getting weakened even further. And you're sort of scrambling around a little bit. And as I've said many times before, what Pat and Joe do best. Got the group together, come up with a plan, drilled the plan, and executed it. And we probably did to Paul what Tottenham did to us.
Mm.
And there's the flip of football. You go to Paul on the front foot, and press them hard like we did, and that's the result you get. And it probably, like I just said, probably, that's we did to Paul what Tottenham did to us, and that's probably the best way I can describe it, really.
And I said about the under 18s there, and how important will they be throughout the rest of the season? So at the moment, we do have a thin squad. We'll talk about new players and stuff in a minute, but I just want to address the under 18s. I mean, they've regularly come in this season. So we've seen the likes of Keane Taus, Ethan Jones, he appears regularly, and they're all doing a fantastic job. And how important is it having this direct link with the academy? Whereas Zach Sharp, he's doing an excellent job with them.
Yeah, it's a credit to Zach. It's a credit to the boys, really, and also to Pat and Joe, how we can bring these guys in. When you see them on the bench, it's not just the first time they've been plucked from the youth team and brought in. We have a number of them in with us every Tuesday and Thursday. Not the same group. We have a different group. Sometimes there's a consistent theme with who we have, but we have the lads with us, so they are they're drilled in what we do. It's not a shock. They know the guys, and it all should be familiar with them for games like Paul when you have 3 on the bench. When we went to Gloucester, you look at the FA Cup games. Henry Searle, 18, came on in the first game here at Gosport and played 9 on 45 minutes. I think Kian and Henry again probably came on at Gloucester away, and then you can see we've got 3 on the bench against Paul. So the under 18s are, like I said, but they're not just plucked and brought in and rabbit in headlights. They're part of the programme, they're part of training, and very much part of the squad. And we don't fear throwing them in.
Well, definitely. And I think they're all doing a top job. And someone else who will be looking to do a top job is our new goalkeeper, Adam Parks. I remember speaking in the last episode, we were saying how great Ryan Gosney he's been. He has recently joined AFC Tottenham, so I would imagine that was a real stab. Just really annoying considering how well he's done under us. But we've brought in Adam Parks, and honestly, he looks like a really good young goalkeeper. Had stints with Plymouth, Southampton, Watford. And what can he add to this squad?
Yeah, but the Goz thing was difficult, and it was a hard one to take. Goz had come in and done really well. You can't deny that. But unfortunately, Salisbury called him back, and when they called him back, they terminated his contract. We obviously got in first with what we thought was a really good offer, but unfortunately, we were done by our friends down the road at Tottenham, and Goz has gone there. So that's just life. It happens. That happens at all levels. So yeah, we were quickly looking for a replacement, and when Adam Parks became available, that was a no-brainer. I'm sure people are talking about the Taunton game recently, but if people think back to the Plymouth Parkway game last year when they held us to the 1-1 game, and Adam kept us out single-handedly. So a really, really top goalkeeper who we're really pleased to bring him in.
And also, I suppose he matches the philosophy of how we play as well. So these young keepers, they kind of been brought up to play with their feet, I suppose. So we've seen it a lot under their bigger academies. So he would have gone through the academies at Watford, Southampton, and he would have learnt how to use his feet properly. And Pat and Joe, they seem to like playing the ball on the floor. And I feel like he's going to work really well in this team.
Yeah, he's got an excellent pedigree. He's got an excellent background. Been well coached. He's a good goalkeeper. We are really pleased to have him, and he'll fit the squad perfectly. It's not just scattergun recruitment where you go out and pluck the first one out of the sky. You've got to find one that suits you. And thankfully, Adam came available at just the right time.
And Mark, we've also got some really exciting news about 2 potential new players. And could you just tell the fans a bit about that and what's happening over the next few days, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, and I've said to a few people that we're looking to strengthen by bringing 2 or 3 in. We've had 2 in tonight to sign, which is fantastic news. We'll announce them tomorrow, not being cryptic or difficult, but they've literally just put in conform. So we'll get them sent off either tonight or in the morning. And when they come back from the FA and they're confirmed, then we're able to announce them. It would be silly to do that before the forms have been. Two really good additions, two experienced guys, got good experience of the level, going to be in key positions for us. And two that have come probably just at the right time to bolster the squad when we're down the numbers, and we'll probably be looking for at least one more as well, just to sort of top that and give us a little push we need.
Well, if that's not an incentive to follow all of us on social media, Gosport social media channels, make sure to do it, because I know every fan tomorrow, they're going to be on the edge of their seats just waiting for the announcements. So, Mark, we're all going to be looking forward to that, and I look forward to announcing them later tomorrow. But returning back to the form on the pitch as well, I think over the last month, it has been really impressive. So I've got here, we've won 3 wins, we've got 1 draw, and we've had 1 loss in our last 5 games, excluding the AFC Tottenham one, because that didn't really fully happen. But these games, they were against Walton and Hersham, for example. We played Taunton in that time. Big teams. And surely, once again, you guys must be really happy with that form.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look back to the Walton Hersham game, and again, went down to 10 men at Walton, and probably one of our best performances of the season. If you think back to the game, down to 10 men, and it was Walton that were just in their shape, from how well we were playing. And how we've, like I keep saying, going down to 10, we still got the ball down. We got the ball in behind them. We got the ball wide. And Ayo on that night absolutely terrified Walton. And it actually they had to score late to equalise in that game. And that was a top performance. And then we followed that up by beating Swindon. And you just think, we're off now, and we're off and running again. And then again, football being played by human beings. We came here on the Wednesday and we got done by Marlow, which was a really bad defeat. We can't dress that up any other way. That was a bad defeat. Marlow had not won at that point, and beat us 1-0 at home. So you think I think there's probably been a bit of a story of the season. We've done well in the cups. We've had some really good league wins. We seem to get going, then we just seem to stutter again. But again, we got over the Marlow one, and we beat Taunton really, really well in the trophy, and then we go to Poole and we win really, really well. So I think again, another really, really positive month for the club. If you look at what we've done in the trophy after exiting the FA Cup, we've got 3 games in hand now, and everyone on the league. I think if we win those games, we're going to be well and truly in the playoff spot. Obviously, if buts and maybes, if you win those games, but I think a really, really positive month. It was a very difficult month because the Marlow defeat was a real crushing defeat, and you could feel the place get low really quickly, which is unlike the place since we've been here, because it's always been a bit of a high with things being quite positive. But we all felt and we all took the Marlow defeat really heavy, and it weighed on us a little bit. But thankfully the guys, as they always do, bounced back with that thumping win over Taunton. And then obviously Dutchy and 1 or 2 of the others played in the Portsmouth Senior Cup game of our under-18s, where we went and beat Fleetlands on penalties. But then the Poole game was a fantastic win away at Poole, where we've not been a happy hunting ground for the club. So really, really positive month.
And you mentioned 2 specific words there, bounce back. And I feel like that has summed up Gosport nicely over the last month as well. So a really interesting fact I did have here is that I think it's 3 games so far within those last 5 games that I mentioned. You came from behind to at least either get a point, or in most cases, the 6 points. And it's shown once again really good resilience from the lads and really good mental strength, something hard to install in a lot of players, something you can't teach.
Yeah, it's a good group. It's a good squad. And I think sometimes when you're a slightly smaller squad, it's easier to be a little bit more together. Certainly that's how I found it in the past. We've got some great characters in the squad, the likes of Danny Ollens, the likes of Rory, the likes of Waz, Brad Tarbuck. The list is endless, really, of good experience, sort of football league and non-league players that are as good off the field and as importantly, obviously, on the field. But I think, we've got a really good group, a really tight group. And when people join, it's probably easy to join a good group as we've got. So it makes the transition and new signings and new starters even easier.
And you said about the Marlow loss earlier and how it was, yeah, it was just pretty bad. It was a little bit of a dreadful result in the end. And there's been a few other cases this season where we've lost to newly promoted sides. So Frome, Wimborne, but then other times in the season, like we've alluded to, Wimborne. No, not Wimborne. Walton and Hersham, it was a great win. And for some reason, it looks like we play much better in the bigger games and we play much worse in the smaller games. And can you put your finger on why this happens?
Oh, can I put my finger on it? Probably not. One thing I've said a few times this year is in the faster paced games we've been better. When teams have a go, we seem to be a lot better. Maybe when teams sit off a little bit, when the pace of the game is not as probably we'd like it. Sometimes we've struggled. But that's something Pat and Joe are very aware of, and probably why we bounce back so quickly from all of those lows is the fact that all the games are analysed. We've just done an analysis session tonight with the players. Every game's watched back, and when people are going to make mistakes, we're going to make mistakes. Players will, like I said, keep saying, reiterating, everyone's human beings. But the important thing is when you make those that you learn from them, and we normally tend to put them right quite quickly. And I would expect no different from the half against AFC Tottenham, but we put it right quite quickly. And one thing this league does provide is an opportunity to do that, and we do that on Wednesday night when we play Dorchester here.
Well, we'll talk a bit about that Dorchester game in the next few questions, but just before I want to get onto the Dorchester game, there has been two players this month that I have been significantly impressed with. And I would say it really started with the Pool game, I'm pretty sure anyway. But Agbesi, he came into midfield and he looks like an absolute tank in midfield. He's always bossing it in the midfield. And I feel like he really complements Harry Lee on the left-hand side. So one of the younger players, and it's his first real spell men's football. And being in the Southern League, it's a very physical league, isn't it? But I feel those two, they're really starting to complement each other and they're getting the best out of each other. And is this something you're going to be looking at in future games, looking at implementing more of those two?
Yeah, I mean, Harry Lee's a great young lad. I mean, we've got him from Brighton. We've obviously got him on loan. And, Harry gives us great energy, gives us great pace. He's really alive, really, really comfortable, wants to play and wants to play the way we play. So Harry's a great fit whenever we use him. And, certainly I always enjoy watching Harry play. He's a bright young lad to have around the place as well. And obviously Paul is someone we know well. I had Paul with me before. Pat and Joe had Paul with them before as well. And we know Paul's strengths, and Paul is absolutely perfect for those types of games. He's a strong lad. He's combative. He can play. Excellent on the second ball at times. And again, we know Paul's strengths. We know what games you're going to get the best out of Paul in. So two guys that deserve a lot of credit. And when they've come in and done exceptionally well, so really pleasing for both of them.
Well, hopefully they can be used in the Dorchester game. And we have a massive week coming up, don't we, here at the AI Stadium? Two huge games. So starting with this Wednesday, we got Dorchester. Saturday, we got the Tunbridge Angels. And really for the rest of this year, at least in 2024, we got some huge games building up. And I would imagine this time of the year is going to be pivotal in our run to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it will be as you get towards this time of year. I think everyone uses Christmas, don't they, as a marker for how you're doing. Whether we were caught up by Christmas or not is probably a different story, but we're going to have games thick and fast. And I guess that's why we all do it, really. It's every game would appear to be a big game at the moment, whether we're trying to win to get league momentum, whether it's a cup game. It's, and I guess, hopefully people feel that's one of the exciting things of whether you help at Gosport, whether you support Gosport, whether you're involved. Every game is something on it. And, we're certainly going into every game with the intention of trying to get maximum points out of it. And, coupled with a lot of things, but, 1,700 people in here on Friday night just shows that we've got to be doing something right. I know the Remembrance will take a lot of credit for that, but there's still 1,700 people come to watch games of football. So, we've got to be doing something right. People wouldn't come and part with their money.
Well, it's definitely been an interesting few months so far, and I would imagine it's only going to get better as the year goes on. And I can imagine already the final few weeks is going to be brilliant. So make sure to get all your tickets for the next few months, Borough fans. And one you will want to get your tickets for is this Wednesday, Dorchester, Mark. And like I said, Dorchester, they seem to have really hit form this season. I think they may be in the playoff zone this season. I haven't checked the league standings in a while, but they look to be doing really well and could be another potentially challenging team.
Yeah, Dortch are going really well. I think they're well backed this year. We heard in the background that they're well backed, and if you look at the signings they've made pre-season, and have continued to make, but it's no surprise they've started well and are going so well. They had an incredibly tough game at the weekend, so hopefully they'll still be jaded by that when they come here on Wednesday. But yeah, I mean the Dorchester game is going to be as tough as they come, and is going to be a real sign of probably of actually how far we have come and how well we're going to do. So that will be a really, really curious one. I'd like to think another big crowd in there. They're always slightly less midweek for obvious reasons. It's tough for people to get here. But I would think that could be a really, really good competitive game on Wednesday. Two teams that have got interest in going in one direction, and that's up.
And then finishing the week with this Saturday, another huge game against the National League South opposition, Tunbridge Angels. I know they've started the league very well in the National League South. I'm not sure if Toby Stewart, the former Gosport keeper, is going to be there. I think he may have been recalled from Pompey, but either way, it's going to have a huge magnitude, that game. And I would imagine Gosport, we're going to want to get to the next round of the AFO Trophy, hopefully bring a National League team.
Yeah, I mean, Toby's been recalled by Portsmouth. I bumped into Toby on Friday, actually, and was having a chat with him, and we still share the occasional message to check how he is. So he's been recalled by Portsmouth. He won't go back to Tunbridge Angels. But yeah, still a game. It obviously would have been nice to have played against Toby again for sure. But yeah, I mean, an FA Trophy game, we know it's probably the most prestigious tournament underneath the FA Cup. And we can't hide from the fact the riches that the trophy can bring the further you progress, and obviously that's good for club finances and the sort of sustainability of a club that we go on about and how we're driving towards that. So the trophy is a really important competition. Selfishly, I always think that the teams from the National South, sort of mid-table, are quite good draws for us, really, because obviously, quite rightly, we're underdogs. But I think you always feel like you've got a chance. And we definitely will feel we've got a chance going into the Tonbridge game. But, they are a team playing the National South week in, week out. So you would expect them to be well drilled. You'd expect them to be strong, bigger, fitter, stronger. You'd expect them to be better than us because they're playing in that league. But, never write us off in the trophy or the FA Cup is probably one of those messages that they will. I would imagine Tonbridge will be very, very wary of us when they see what we've done this season and last season.
Well, hopefully, Mark, when I next speak to you, I mean, in some point in May, we'll be talking about our road to Wembley. How cool would that be? But I think we better just focus on game by game. But Mark, to finish off the interview, can we get the normal final words, up the borough?
Yeah, thanks, James. Up the borough.
And final words from me, up the borough.